Hi there, it's Ryan G. Wright at DoHardMoney.com, and the question today is, how much earnest money should I put down? Earnest money is a little bit tricky. So first off, let's just talk about what is earnest money. Earnest money is consideration. So basically, if you're looking to buy a house, you put up some earnest money. Now that earnest money, if you purchase the property, goes towards your purchase price. So whatever earnest money you put, it credits towards your purchase price. Now, the question is what if you don't buy? What happens to that earnest money? And it depends. When you write your purchase contract, you have a few deadlines. And if you're a real estate investor, you're writing these deadlines so that they can give you as much time as you need to do the thing. So the first deadline is your inspections and your evaluations deadline, which basically says, you know what, maybe I haven't seen the house, or if I have seen the house, I was only in there for 10 minutes. I want to get my contractor in there. I want to get my designer in there. Like, we want to look at this and figure out how much it's really going to cost us to do this property up right. And based upon that, I might find out, hey, this doesn't make sense for me to do. And if so, if I have a deadline for inspections and evaluations or due diligence, as long as I remove myself from the contract prior to that deadline or renegotiate, then I can get my earnest money back. And that becomes mine. Now, it's really important. This is a pro tip. You want to make sure you don't give your earnest money to a seller. You want to make sure you give your earnest money to a title company or closing attorney. What can happen is a seller can get emotional, and even though you're legitimately and legally owed it, they may hang on to it, and then you got to spend money fighting them, which isn't any fun. So make sure you give it to a title company or a closing attorney. It'll avoid that mess altogether. Now, the other things you have is you have a loan denial deadline. In the event you don't get the loan, the earnest money comes back to you. And that's even if your interest rate isn't the way you want it to. You typically have an appraisal deadline too, which basically says, hey, if the property doesn't appraise for what I want it for, then I'm not going to move forward with the purchase, and you're going to return the earnest money to you. So those are some of the deadlines. You want to make sure those right in the contract. Also, how much earnest money should you put up? Well, it depends. If you're buying properties off the MLS, which I don't recommend if you're an investor, you're typically going to have to put $500 to $1,000, sometimes even more. The more money you put up, the more the seller thinks you're serious. And the only reason the seller knows that is because their agent is telling them this. So if you can get them to avoid working with an agent, which the properties are on the MLS are the properties that are most expensive anyway. But if you're working off-market properties, typical earnest money on those deals is like $50, sometimes $100. And so if you're dealing with off-market properties, you don't have to put up a lot of earnest money because the people that are selling the property aren't working with an agent that's encouraging them that they need to spend a lot of money on earnest money. So I hope this helps. You can check us out at DoHardMoney.com and make it a very profitable day.